are having troubles, it might be because they're not on the same layer. So with the windshield here, I'm going to go in and select, actually first of all I'm going to apply the mirror modifier and not apply the subsurf. Since we're not adding shape keys, we don't need to add the subsurf now. I'm going to select disable that, select vertex there, press Ctrl L and P separate by selection. And as before, that makes it a completely separate object, and that's really good, but it's still parented to the car. So let's jump to frame 51 again. There we go. By the way, period on the number pad zooms into your selection. It's really handy. I use it all the time. Changed my life when I found out about it. All that stuff. So I'm going to add a particle system there, and we don't really want it, emitting this entire time. We want it really starting at frame 51. So I'm going to change the start time to 51, end time to 52. So you can see they're all emitted. I'm going to change this to 45 right now so we don't have to watch the entire thing again. So here, bam, releases all the particles at just the right time. But this needs to go be a collision, so enable that in the physics options. And you can see now, since we did that, all the particles bounce around like little bouncy balls, and we definitely don't want that. So, easy way to fix this, just increase the dampening a little bit, friction a little bit, random, just a tad, don't do too much random or else it'll look ridiculous, but just do that, and maybe a little bit more friction. Let's try that. Okay. That'll be good enough. So that's the windshield, and you can see that we don't really want it, exploding like that. That's not really exploding, that's just kind of dropping. So I'm going to choose random, and in the velocity, you can see that it's going the normal direction, but I want it going kind of, disregard that. Okay, I want it kind of exploding out this way. So you can see that that's the x-axis, or you could just look there, x-axis. So I'm going to give it a velocity of 2 on the x-axis, velocity of 2 on the random, and 1 on the normal. And with all that combined, it should, oh, my bad, x is pointing that way, so it'd be -2. Let's try that one more time. Okay, that's pretty good, but it's not really an explosion. Let's go all the way up to 5 on the random. Bam, glass shattering everywhere. Perfect. That looks great. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go to display. Actually, no, not display. I'm going to go to render and render none. And since it's displayed as render, you're not going to see anything in the viewport. If I play this back, you can see that, it's invisible. But the reason for that is we're just going to go into here, and we're going to add an explode modifier. And I'm also going to add a solidify just so the glass has a little bit of substance, and that'll help when you're rendering. 0.05 should be good. You can see it kind of happening there, because right now the windshield's like paper thin. If I disable that, that just gives it a little bit of something. Yeah, so now you see if I play this back, windshield actually explodes, but it's all those little pieces. We don't want that, so just bump up the subdivision surfaces, say to 3. It'll give you more pieces, and you can say cut edges, and what that does is it'll give these kind of jagged edges. It's not really perfect for glass, but it's a whole lot better than nothing, and it'll work for now. Okay, so back in the particles, one more thing I want to do with this is I'm going to change the random size all the way up to 1, change the size to 0.5. Now you can't see anything here, but that's because in the explode modifier, if you enable size, it'll copy the size of the particle itself and not the size of the mesh. So just kind of bump this up until it looks about right. Maybe 1 looks good. But you can see what the random does is it gives you a little tiny specks as well as the large chunks. and so that looks pretty good. Okay, the headlights should explode about the same time because glass shatters really fast. If you've ever seen a, like the slow-mo guys or whatever do an animation of it, or not an animation, a high frame rate video, then it shatters almost instantaneously. Okay, so I'm going to apply the mirror modifier here, and then have this so start frame 51, ends at frame 52, -2, 3, and yeah, see how that goes. So hits it, bam. A lot of particles, we don't need that many. So I'll change this to like 300. And then same thing when we went to render, none. And then add an explode modifier, cut edges. Oh, and I forgot to do the size. So in the physics, change size to 1, random size all the way up, and bam. Goosh. That looks good. So just so you can get an idea real quick what the car is actually doing, you can scrub through this. You can see comes up, hits it, windshield explodes, headlights explode, lays on the ground, perfect. And then I was gonna have the other windows explode right when this happens, but it's not really hitting the other ones. It's not really hitting, like, say, the back window or anything. So I'm just gonna have them all explode right when it hits the pole. So instead of going back and joining all the objects and stuff, a really easy thing that we can do is just add another particle system. But you can see here in the particle settings, we already have one set up. So I probably should have been efficient and named this. So I'm going to name this windshield. Then you can see over here, we can select windshield. Ah, look at that. It'll have the same setting as the windshield. Play this back. What is going on? Oh, it's because we don't have a explode modifier. There we go. Bump that up. 3. Size. Cut edges. Perfect. Okay. So, I don't know what is going on there. Let's go back to the frame 1. Okay. So, that's basically the entire tutorial. Let me just show you one other quick thing that really helped me when doing an animation. A lot of times I always guess when I'm doing constraints on what's the right angle to put in, but let me just show you real quick a really easy way to get it right the first time. So I have a camera in the scene already. You can see it's right there, but I don't want it there. I want it right where my viewport is. So if I just press Control Alt Numpad 0, you can see it right there, then it'll put it exactly where it is. And if I hit G and the scroll wheel on the mouse, it just kind of scrolls it back. There we go. Good, but I want it to be pointed directly at the car at all times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a constraint and track 2. Now, I want it, pointing at the car, so I'm just going to type in car shell. There we go. And you can see it always has this weird rotation thing, and I always go through and be like, well, is it the X, Z, try random combinations, and it never works, but I figured out what it does. So, what you gotta do for these is change this from global to local. And then you can see the local coordinates of the camera. And you can see that the Y is pointing up, and the Z is pointing away from where you want it to be pointing. So, the up should be Y. I guess I accidentally just randomly chose it, but that was the correct one. And you can see that Z is pointing the opposite direction of where we want the camera to point. So you just press -Z, bam. No more guesswork for you. So you can see if we play this back, car comes, what's going to happen? And bam, collision. And smush. Okay, so you can see I definitely didn't animate the wheels properly. Um, it's really unfortunate. But I think that's all the time we have. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot from it, and even though I'm not going through every setting, um, and also I want to do like an explosion, like a car explosion, like an actual smoke sim with this, because it's really fun. But we just don't have time. I already rushed through things way too fast. I really hope you could follow along, and I hope this gives you some inspiration or gives you a good idea of what to do in the future. And maybe it'll help you on a VFX project or something. But bottom line, I hope it's helpful. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.